Oh, sorry about that. Sorry the midway interruption. There was a call that came in, which stops my recording, and I really need to figure out how to edit stuff, because it literally just stopped my recording mid-sentence, and I have to start a new video. So, as I was saying, this kid, who is like, it was a 19-year-old at that time, who lived his entire life under a blockade and famine, and they were being shelled at by Western powers and Middle East and all that. And there's also the groups of Houthis who were trying to harm themselves and try to defend Yemen, who's basically a reactionary group of people. And then, of course, because they're on the siege, they're a constant famine, they literally are in a desperate measure. Of course, they're going to, like a kid who live in this area will grow some resentment towards Israel, Israel is like one of the main aggressors towards Yemen, who's causing all kinds of trouble in the Middle East, and is anti-Zionist. And what he did was, and he said, I don't hate the Jews, I just hate Israel. I hate Zionism. And when the whole Palestinian genocide started to happen, what did the Houthis, and what he also participated, was stopping ships that went to Israel as a way to stop the Palestinian genocide. So basically putting economic pressure on Israel to stop doing the genocide war. Of course, the West did it as like the coalition of the willing, who tries to stop the Houthis, to stop these guys to seize the ships, while allowing the genocide. It literally says, like, if Israel stops doing this genocide, we will stop. But what does the liberal Zionists do? They will omit the part of why they're seizing the ships. Then they highlight the fact that the Houthis they want to stop their hate Zionism. It said, here we go, he's anti-Semitic because he wants to call the devil Jews, ignoring that last part. Other times, what does Ethan Klein will do? He will completely ignore the atrocities that Israel is doing, like his wife. Work in the IDF. She took part, she was a secretary, where she organized an operation in the West Bank to mow the lawn. What is the mowing the lawn? Basically, Israel will come in and randomly start killing civilians, start destroying crops, start burning homes, literally destroying the civil life of Palestinian in Palestine. It does happen in the West Bank and in Gaza. That's literally what the mowing the lawn actually do. And thousands of Palestinians died because of that. But she said, but does she view herself as a terrorist? No. She just worked in the IDF. She requested it because she had it on a post. She found it to be boring, requested change to go to that post to organize the mowing the lawn, and she thought it was more fun. And working with commanders, all that, to organize those kind of events. She thought it was more fun. Not only that, she was aware that she can leave the IDF if she really chooses to, but she decided to serve anyway. By definition, she should be classified as a terrorist. Does Ida Klein actually say that she's a terrorist? Of course not. However, a kid who basically wants to stop a genocide, they're going to classify this kid as a terrorist. Notice the dynamic here. Hamas, which was propped up by Israel, by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu allow funding to go through and all that. So Hamas, yes, there's a lot of things about it done, but it is, in some sense, in some international law, it is a legitimate resistance group against an occupier. Yes, they might do some bad things, but they're literally resisting an occupying force against occupying force. That is they only have controls in Gaza. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. Yet, of course, they continually take more people out of West Bank. But do they actually acknowledge those things? Do they actually care about it? No, of course not. Do they actually acknowledge? I just recently learned that another 900 people died in Gaza. And actually 900 and it doesn't take account of all the injuries. And actually, that was somebody that actually pointed out to me, pointed out in one of his videos, and he actually also pointed out something even more important. There was one hospital that dealt with cancer. That hospital is now destroyed. People are now dying from cancer. People are dying from a lack of healthcare. And there's a full-blown famine going on. Like, the idea that they're allowing trucks to come in as a supply. Before the war started, 500 trucks would come in. Now it's about maybe 120. We know that Israel deliberately stops aid trucks to come in. They literally targeted food trucks in Gaza before as well, destroying it. I was just watching a video, the before and after the bombings of Israel. Is completely flattened. Like, Rafah is now completely flattened. North Gaza is now completely flattened. Like, at this point, there's so much rubble in Gaza. There's practically nothing left. Like, hospitals are so destroyed. They are having people in doing operation in out in the open, and patients in a having this auto open. And what does Israel do? Literally bombing and burning them alive. There's a video of a person on IV being burned alive because of Israel. Of course, Israel always claims Hamas is there. Oh, there's a communist, there's a control center here. Of course, there's nothing. There's always they're always talking about Hamas is using human shields, or they're installing rockets in popular population. Blah 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 blah. I have yet seen a single claim to be true. Like every time that I have watched and people are trying to go like analyze if those things are actually true, it's always come out to be false lies being told over and over again and again and again and again. And I am not. But does liberal Zionists ever point to these things? Of course not. They ignore these atrocities. And if you try to dare point out these things out to them, they call you anti-Semite. Like, there's actually a video of Ada Klein calling Orthodox Jews anti-Semite. He's literally being mad at Orthodox. They're not being the right Jewish. Because Orthodox Jews are opposed Zionism actually. And so, in other words, it's an ethno-religious state. They want to uphold a certain type of Jews. And there's there is even evidence that they did eugenics. I was a few months ago. I was talking to a liberal Zionist who was trying to do both sides of the argument crap. Where he did this an hour-long presentation, and in this hour-long presentation, he tries to portray both sides equal argument. It's complicated. It's both sides, but at the afterward, I would say that at that time, I was not as knowledgeable. I am of geopolitics of that region. I knew I knew quite a bit, but I did not know everything. And I had some dates wrong, that kind of things. My knowledge was still spotty. So at first, he tries to go back in the Bible time, saying that there's regions there Palestine and Jews were there. He tried to portray that Palestine and Jews were in conflict with each other, which, funny enough, that's another form of historical revisionism Because I was reading some Christian books, some Christian scholarly book, where they made very clear that Jews and Palestinian, they were like mixed blood. They're intertwined. Yes, there was a part that were kind of like they were kind of separate because they're more like the Arab groups. That is true, but also there were Palestinian Jews. Those were part of Judaism. Something that he never once mentioned. Another thing that like I was reading another scholarly book. The first one, I can't remember the actual name of it, but I have it at home. But this one, like I talk about it a lot because like my friend Robert Gardner and I, we like to do a YouTube channel where we talk about like religious stuff, and we're going through Tertullian's writing, which is a person who lived in the 3rd century, and I remember I was talking about that basically in part 1. The topic of the 2 powers of heaven does come out. There's a Jewish doctrine called the two powers doctrine, and it became very prevalent for Christianity. What this person is doing okay, I'm gonna lose my chain of thought again. Anyways, going back to what I was trying to say. I'm not going to go into what the 2 power doctrine was really about. All that it really does not matter for this conversation. What it matters is he's talking about Palestinian. He literally talked about northern Judea to be Palestine. He talked about Palestinian rabbi. Let this statement sink in. Palestinian rabbis. Rabbis are Jewish teachers. He even on to say that Bethlehem, Jerusalem, all of that region belongs to Palestinian. Which you can infer that if Jerusalem and Bethlehem were Palestinian, then Jesus was a Palestinian Jew. Let that one sink in. Now, does this liberal Zionist mention any of that? No, he did not. Why? Because he has to create a metaphor, an ideology that then he talks that the Jews it was kicked out, which, by the way, there were a group of Jews they were kicked out of Israel in the 2nd century. I don't remember the exact date, but it was because of, if you actually look at this, it was because Jews were burning down Roman buildings. They were basically in today's term, armed activists. Like, they are a militant, a militant resistance group who were fighting against their occupiers, because at that time Israel was under Roman occupation. So what did the Roman Empire did at that time? They kicked them out. Now, does that mean that all the Jews were gone? No, there were still Jews left in those territories. Then, this is where my knowledge kind of gets really spotty. And this is some areas where I really need to start developing more. But you have you had the Muslim era. And then you have the Christianity, the Western world, all that. You have other I'm talking about Jewish rabbis like Tovia Singer. I remember him making videos talking about how Arabs and Jews coexisted peacefully, while Christianity and the Jews did not. We now hear a lot of rhetoric that Muslim hates the Jews. But at that time, they did not. During the Muslim era, I'm talking about all the way to the Ottoman Empire and the Ottoman Empire, when the Muslim war, where they're basically rise of Islam, all of those things. You had this peaceful coexistence between the Jews and Muslim. But it was not really until the 20th century the relationship has started to deteriorate. So he skips this entire history, going back to this liberal Zionist, and I'm using him as an example. Why am I talking? Okay, the question is, why am I talking about this liberal Zionist? Because I'm showing how liberal Zionists are revise history to fit a narrative. They're going to omit all kinds of things that does not portray Israel, that makes look Israel in a bad light. They're going to completely deny those things. They're going to omit all of those things. They deny all that. Then comes the 20th century. It's you started to have a 19th century people, the Western world started to kind of get an interest of of the rise of Zionism, trying to kind of take control of the Middle East again. The British Empire, in the early 20th century, they started to talk about let's deport Jews in the Western world to Israel. They wanted to basically give a land to the Jews. Because all throughout the Middle Ages, the Jews were persecuted, left, right, and center. There are books that literally writes how the Jews in the Western world were persecuted to the yin yang. And a lot of the common tropes of Jewish bankers and all that is actually stems from the Middle Ages and how they were put into those positions. There's a long history that shows that dynamic. Then here comes Zionism. They wanted to, because Middle East has rich resources, especially in oil. The British, the France, and all that, they wanted to take control of the Middle East. So they started to work on the Zionist project to basically get control of the Middle East through Israel. And you started to have and you have the British supporting Jewish militant in Israel against Palestinian, where they were disorganized, trying to live their best, and you have Zionists coming in and start to create rumbles to try to steal lands, houses, all of those things. And they're literally starting to push people out. Then here comes 1947, the UN resolution, where they declare Israel to be its own. And at that time, the UN is there's a few handful countries, handful of countries, mainly in the Western world. Yes, the USSR was there, and they basically made Israel legal. But was Palestinian voted on? No, they basically they wanted a two-state solution, blah, 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 blah. 50% of the land was basically gone. Then a year later, there was the Nakba. What is the Nakba? Basically, 800,000 Palestinians were kicked out of people's home and never able to return. So, what does this liberal Zionist talk about? He talked about the 1947 establishment of UN, does not talk about the history of why the UN came to be, or they don't come to why the UN came to be, and any of the conflict or the interest. Which, by the way, Hitler did work with Zionists to deport Jews from Germany to Israel. Little known fact about Nazi Germany, which a lot of people don't even know about. Does he talks about any of that? No. The Nakba takes place a year later, which he does not even talk about. There's a lot of modern days Jews, modern Zionists, even denies the Nakba, which is what Ida Klein and his terrorist wife tried to do. And the Nakba was one of the biggest thing that's literally created the tension in the Middle East. Of course, the other Arabs tried to come in, they got defeated, and I need to understand how so many countries was defeated and Israel was able to be the victor. I need to understand this. Anyways, so now when it arrives, then also like there's the Jews being kicked out of Arab countries. But why did the Jews got kicked out of those countries? We only have the CIA declassified CIA documents that literally says we organized with the Zionists to create tension in those Arab countries to deport the Jews. I literally brought this thing up to him, that is liberal Zionist. He outright denies it. He says, "Oh, you can't use that." He says, "We can't use this document, CIA documents, unless you actually, I have the physical copy in my hand." He doesn't know what to get. You can literally download it from the U.S. government website. Oh, you can use that. Why? Why can you not use it? Because it's not trustworthy. Really? U.S. government website, their archives, is not trustworthy. See how these games, how this liberal Zionist game actually works. They will admit facts to fit their narratives. Then he talks about like there's like five plans that there's five plans that Israel try to bring peace, ignoring all the other plans that Palestine tries to come up something like every 2 years of peace, and Israel completely denies it. Like right now, we literally have Jewish Zionist leaders. It's so hard to not just say Jews, so hard, but they're not. No, Zionist. You don't have Zionist leaders otherwise saying, we don't want a two-state solution. We want to kick everybody out of the West Bank. We want to kick everybody out of Gaza. They don't want resolution. They just want to control the narrative to fit their ideology. So, did he actually say, like, going back to this liberal Zionist, did he actually say any of that? No, of course not. Then when I talk about Gaza, which is the main topic about the Gaza Strip, then I told him like he denies that Israel is an apartheid state. He denies there's genocide happening over there. Like he's talking about like how can it be a genocide when there's like the population grew to tens of millions. When you there is such a thing as cultural genocide. Here in Canada, we did what is called a cultural genocide on the Aboriginal population. Yes, there were people who died, but we tried to. The official government policy was to kill the Indian. Think about it. To kill the Indian. That's the entire policy of the residential school that occurred in Canada, which was ended in 1991, was supposed to kill the Indian. That's called a cultural genocide. Genocide does not have to be, you have like a count as body count. Yes, body count does count. Like you can't have a genocide if you have like 100,000 people or whatever. When you try to erase an ethnic person, it's considered genocide. If you try to deport people, it will be classified as a genocide. It does not have to be a mass killing. Yes, mass killing does happen, but it does not have to be like there is a sustainable number. So here's the issue, is that when you talk about genocide, is that the people will try to redefine the terms of genocide. And by every extent of, if you go by the wording of I forget what was it, the terms of it, there's just a convention after World War II, it's like it's set in stone, okay, how you define a genocide. By and large, everything that what Israel has ever done is classified as a genocide. Having an apartheid state, which this guy also denies, saying that, oh yeah, you have like Palestinian in government. But you're excluding how the West Bank and Gaza actually operates, which, by the way, Gaza, he denies that Gaza is the largest open air prison. He denies it. He's like, oh, but Hamas has used their funding to build tunnels and weapons, blah 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 blah, instead of building their infrastructure. Oh, really? So, how are they supposed to build when the borders are being fucking controlled by Israel? 97% of the water supply is undrinkable in Gaza because Israel refuses to let cement to go inside of Gaza to build. Of course, their offshores are literally being controlled by Israel. So they're literally controlling what comes in and out of Gaza. And of course, they can turn off the electricity, water supply, all of those things at a moment's notice, which they did at the beginning of this largest genocide that's currently happening in front of our fucking eyes. Does this liberal Zionist ever fucking talk about this genocide? Of course not. And I literally point these things out to him. How about it? Like, all the international body has always classified Gaza as Israel as an apartheid state. He literally denies, like, liberal Zionists or Zionists will always deny international bodies because it doesn't fit their narratives. You literally have countless independent sources demonstrating these issues. So this both sides argument is bullshit. And yet, what does Etta Klein and people like him takes offense with? Calling on Israel. And this is the issue that I have with you, Knox. You're probably like you guys are like the small YouTubers or whatnot. Actually listen to the full context. Liberal Zionists will, as I literally showed you the entire time, they will admit stuff to fit an ideology. And this both sides argument is the same thing as saying I'm pro-genocide. When you try to say that one side is a terrorist, but you refuse to call the idea as terrorist, you are pro-genocide. You supporting an ethnic religious state, which only leads to an apartheid state, by the way. You're pro-genocide. And there is also going back. I brought up how you have to be a certain type of Jew, where the Ethiopian Jews were actually had for eugenics. They before they were even able to give receive medical help, they had to castrate themselves, basically not able to give birth. This liberal just denied it to my face. Anything that made Israel look bad, he denied it. That's what liberal Zionists do. Don't fall, and this is what, going back to my part one, what liberals, I like to classify as social fascists. The liberal Jews will be like, oh, I care about the LGBTQ, I care about the cultural war crap. Oh, look at the more right wing, these people are bad. But actually dealing with real material consequences, no, they're going to be completely outright denies it. They try to they will try to ignore anything that makes Israel look bad. And I am not exactly with this kind of thing. And if Knox, you ever watch this video, don't listen to I know you have I know you I watch enough of your videos, and ultimately I know you have a good heart. But you need to actually listen to the full context. And I actually made a comment in one of his videos where somebody accused me of anti-Semitism because I'm an anti-Zionist. It's like, really? I literally point out every single thing that of what these videos were wrong about, the contents that were being omitted. Never once responded back to me. If you truly care about the truth, Knox, Look at the other side. Look what the other side actually says. Don't look at the liberal Zionists who will deliberately revise history to fit their narratives. And these liberal Zionists are just as bad as Zionists, because they try to portray themselves that they are culturally progressive, when in reality they are not. If you are a leftist, if you truly are a leftist, you will denounce liberal Zionism. No one should support a genocide. And liberal Zionists are genocide supporters. Yes, conservatives loves Zionists are pure genocider. I don't care. Whatever. Your opinion doesn't matter to me at all. But if you are a person on the left, so-called left, and you are just a liberal Zionist, you also lose your card to be a leftist. Because there are times where you have to take a stand. And I'm going to leave this on a final point about how Zionism deliberately targets civilians. There's like a report of over 100 US doctors who work in Gaza, who's been in different kinds of war zone. And they literally talk about how on daily basis they're going to have like baby's child being sniped by Israel. They will have they will be killed directly to the heart, brain, whatever. They have like brain in their hand. Deliberately targeted by snipers. Children, babies.